advertising used to be so simple. You used to just have to buy a billboard or buy a TV spot or print an ad in a magazine. Like you reach people, done. Like that was it. There was no attributable revenue for the most part in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. But now we have the internet. Social media happened. And then Meta figured out how to put your ads in front of exactly the right person at the moment. And every brand on earth poured their budget in. And for a while, it worked really well. And then we had more platforms come into play. And everything's kind of shifted. Everything got crowded. Costs have gone up. Results are harder to predict. And brands are starting to wake up to the fact that putting all your money in one platform you don't own and you have zero control over is a very fragile strategy. So today, we're in a completely new era, and advertising has changed and almost nobody's noticing. It's more interesting than anything that we've seen before because brands that are winning right now aren't just running better ads. They're building communities, they're creating experiences, they're showing up in places competitors aren't even looking at. And today we're breaking down how advertising is changing in 2026 and where it's all heading. So with that said, Luke, I think what we should start with is going through what I think are previous eras of advertising before where we're at right now. And so era one, I would call the print age. And this was, obviously print magazines, billboards, posters, and very like in-person experiences, right? This was when advertising like first started out in early days of like the 20s all the way up until probably about the 40s when TV came around. And then you get into the broadcast age, which was like out of home, print, TV, radio. That led us that kind of takes us from about the 50s or 60s up until really like the 90s, 2000s when the digital gold rush started, right? Social media came into play, Facebook, MySpace, Instagram, Snapchat, all these new apps. And then we came into what I think is what I would call era 3, which was the shortest, but it was the platform dependency crisis. And I still think we're in the era now, but we're starting to move into to where we're coming. And platform dependency is everybody just goes all in on one platform and they don't have any diversification with their ads, right? But now I think we're getting into the new era, which is what I would call the distribution diversity. And it's a conglomerate of every advertising medium we've seen so far. But the smartest brands that I've seen succeed are the ones doing everything. They're everywhere. They're not just on social. They're not just in out of home. They're not just on TV. They're not just doing like community. They're doing everything. And I think this is really important moving forward because of AI and everyone wanting to and a lot of people getting off their phones and doing more experiential based things. So now that I'm done blabbing, Luke, where do you feel advertising is at right now?
I mean, I'm going to just fire through some stats, right? 1.3 trillion in global ad spend in 2026. It's increased year on year by 9%, right? So people think that the advertising industry is shrinking. Get your head out the gutter. It's not true. Number 2, 61% are more likely to purchase after a brand event, right? So as you said, era 4, experimental and experiential, will drive conversions. The reason why people haven't doubled down on it is because the attribution is quite hard. You can't correlate straight away. And I think what's happened, and I don't blame it, if you're a brand scaling, you want to know exactly, okay, if I put this amount of money in, how much money will I get out? It's why people loved, online paid channels, because it's a really simple, LTV to CAC play. You just can look at the attribution margins and know, right? And I think also as well, what's really interesting, in my opinion, and the big stat, 61% of brands are increasing their creator investment, right? But I think what's going to happen in my hot take, right, is if you think about it, right, a big channel right now is kind of like live shopping, right? So I think that's the online version of what I think is really going to happen. And it's people just want in real life events. They want those experiences. They want to feel something, right? And I think it's so important for brands to understand that. And I think you broke down the 4 eras really nicely. But I think the question I have for you would be, because I think it's important to kind of go all the way back, because I think we can learn things through each era, right? And the question I have for you would be kind of, do you think brands, because again, look, we had the agencies back in what? The first era, the broadcasting era, you had the Ogilvy, you had the Doyle Dane and Batch lot, like they defined storytelling, right? Do you think brands have lost their way in storytelling from that first era to now? The ones that have gone through the 4 eras?
Yes, I do, because I think a lot of brands have been so performance focused and not focused on performance and brand building.
Mm,
And I think we're kind of seeing a return back to storytelling because of the over indexing on performance and everybody being so obsessed with making money. And I think a lot of that's a culture thing,
yeah.
just global culture. It's like, okay, how profitable are you? How much money are you making? Like that's all people care about. But now it's like, how can I actually build a brand that's gonna not just last me 2 or 3 years? Like how can I think the ambition of how can I be the next Coke? How can I be the next Nike? I think those ambitions are starting to really surface back, and founders and brands are really leaning into like, you know, what is this storytelling avenue for us? And how can we connect with customers in order to increase performance, right? Because people buy into the why. And now more than ever, because of social media, it's storytelling and brand is very important.
Yeah, but I think what's important if we look at them, I think how I'm approaching these 4 eras is kind of how they were measured, right? Like if you think about it, in era 1, they were not like you couldn't track conversions, you couldn't attribute sales, you couldn't retarget viewers, you couldn't like segment audiences, etc. Right? They were measured kind of with Nielsen's ratings, like estimated impressions, like from what the footfall was, etc. But what I think I'm now quite interested by is because in a way that it wasn't targeted, it actually meant that you would target net new audiences so much easier. That's why I think out of home and kind of TV and broadcast like print is so important because in a way, Meta is very, very good at optimizing for people they think it will convert. But it's like it's not very good at targeting kind of like unaware audiences, in my opinion. I think it struggles. And I think it's interesting. I think brands need to get that balance between era 1 advertising and kind of going back to those roots of can we build a banging out of home ad, and then can we like actually then use that to be the story of our digital world?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think so to kind of give everybody a synopsis of where the industry is at in terms of advertising and with everything going on. I think right now what we're seeing is everybody's very heavy on video and everyone is so focused on just like UGC and getting sales. Where I think things are heading, and I've already seen brands start to do this and have this as like part of their core values as a brand, is not just being online, but doing community events, doing experiential events, doing partnerships, getting into retail, like doing out of home, all of this other marketing for ads that doesn't just stay on, right? And I think the last couple of years, what we've seen is just everyone's like, oh, you got to be on Meta. You got to be on TikTok. You got to be doing organic content on these platforms. Like it's all about online. But now, because of everyone being skeptical with AI and everything being so fake on the internet, like people are drinking less, people are trying to be on social media less. They're trying to go like run clubs is a great one. Run clubs have blown up in the last 2 years, probably because people want to go out and do things with people, right? So, okay, how can you create experiences for people online and in person to be able to reach them? Like, I don't think just online is enough anymore.
But I think it's a question of like I think what's really important and as a listener, right? You have to understand where is your brand at, right? If you're starting out, I think, I wouldn't blame you if Meta was a big channel for you, right? Because you're trying to build enough revenue to then be able to do the big, not the big advertising, but do the out of home stuff, do the thing. Like, I think you've got to do, like, in my view anyway, it's like you sometimes have to do, like, you have to start one of these channels to allow yourself to have money in the bank to go after the bigger plays. But I think what happens is brands get so greedy off the Meta channel, they don't think about, oh, why would I run an out of home ad where I can't track its sale? or it's conversion or it's like brand is the only thing that reduces CAC over time and increases LTV over time. Brand is everything, right?
It is. It is everything. I'm pulling up some metrics right here to be able to show people how valuable this stuff is. So if you paid for experiential marketing or out of home or anything that like you can't directly attribute revenue to, right? A lot of this gets written off as like a gimmick by CFOs because they can't see any data. They can't see the ROI, right? But if we do the math here, this is based on numbers that I concretely know. If you purchased a billboard in Los Angeles for the LA Marathon for 8 grand and you got 1.5 million impressions for that billboard and it was spent over 30 days, you're paying roughly, I think, what, 187 and a half per customer. Okay. So that's the math, right? Just if we focus, okay, if 1.5 million people buy from us, it's 187 per customer. Okay. But when you think about this, it's like, okay, if we have 1.5 billion people reached and 187 people or 187 we pay for a customer for all those people, right? What's our LTV? Like you can start to do the math in your head based off of the metrics they give you and just ballpark it and then start to look at your numbers that way. Right. But I don't really want to focus on that because it's not what it's about. It's about getting impressions and getting in front of people who have no clue who you are and will never know just by online. That's the point of like experiential and out of home.
Agree. It's a trust builder, and I think it's the quickest way to counter the trust deficit. It's because people know, like, I don't know, like, I think sometimes we think our consumers are stupid, right? Like, I think people forget, right? Like, people are seeing ads nonstop, right? Like, they don't see ads in silent. They don't just see your one ad for the whole day. They're getting bombarded with different ads for different things, etc. So I think the reason why out of home is so important and this kind of experience is it's something that sits with them, right? Yes, it may be expensive to run an experience for them. But if the LTV of that customer is thousands of dollars and it's cost you maybe $100 to give them this great experience, then why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah.
Right?
And if they can get their hands on product, like if it's food and bev, if they can try it, and if it's clothing and they can get their hands on it and just feel it, that's going to be they're probably going to be a higher value customer just from experiencing it.
Yeah. Well, look at
And I
Nubank.
think community is the new media channel because not only do you get to have these events and have people, come to them and stuff, but promoting it's easier than ever. All you have to do is like either promote it on your socials or pay other social accounts to promote it with you. Or if you're doing like local events, like if I know 247 Represent is doing a like 3-day experience with the Loop Running Company in Austin when I'm going this week. And both of them, plus other platforms, are posting about it to get more people to come and create this experience and get that distribution that we're talking about, because that is the new media. Like you get to promote through your distribution centers of social to be able to get people to come in and really like be there with you and experience not only you as a founder and your company, but also the product and each other. Like
Agreed.
you're getting people who are there for the same thing, talking about the same thing. And if somebody is a new customer and somebody's an existing, they're gonna be like, "Oh, dude, like I love this hoodie or I love these shorts, whatever." It just generates way more trust because you're getting everybody in the same place to talk about the same thing and be able to like have them spread the word themselves from new and existing customers.
Well, I think in real life data is like more important than online data. And what I mean by that is I think online data is really critical. And I think it's important. But you cannot be a good old, hey, what are you doing on the shores? I found them a bit, stretchy or whatever, and hearing them react to that statement. Because again, online, it can tell you a story, but in real life, you really get to understand, like, for example, if you're giving them free samples of a product, do they pick up another one? Do they just drink one? They only drink half of it. Do they sip it? Do they just demolish it? Like you can see all these different behavioral signals that you would never see from running, post-purchase surveys.
It's a great point. That's a fantastic point. Cause I mean, then even if you have everybody at your company there or some people, you can have them take mental notes or real notes about like, what are the behaviors going on? Like, what can I learn from this experience? So it's not only great for your customers, but it's great for you. You get to talk to them and get real life feedback face to face.
but then, like, if you look at what the big brands are doing, right? Like, if you want some real sauce, what they'll do is they put these events on, but what they've found is the ROI is not only in the events, but they just then have an army of clippers where they'll just film it. They'll literally, as it's being filmed, they're sending the footage. It's being clipped up at the same time, or when they've stopped recording, they then send the footage on the Google Drive. Clip, 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 clip. Then they whack it on socials, and they have all these different channels pushing this stuff, right? Because of how the algorithm works, it's very geo-locked. So actually, if you're trying to argue this against your CFO, say, look, hey, this one event, we can get this much content for, which would cost us this amount if we didn't do it this way, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know,
And I want to kind of loop in this element of where does creative play in on this? And it doesn't have to be direct ad creative, but like I think getting creative with the experience and making it unique to you and your customer is very important here. Like obviously advertising it on social and like being able to creatively promote it. Like you don't even have to be creative to promote it in general, but do something that's gonna get people to be interested who's your target customer. Like if you're 247, for example, and you know, they're this weekend they're doing like music, they're doing a run, they're doing like a panel, all this other stuff. But I think, okay, what can we do to even make it even more unique? Like maybe we go for a run and then after like we come back to the spot, like they're doing this already, but you know, you give them free drinks from Cadence and you give them free tattoos and all this other stuff. Like make it special. Make it so that they can remember something from it.
what I would do actually, I would have the panel doing a 5K, and the listeners will run along with them, and they all get audioed up, so they can listen to them while they're.
That's a good idea. Yeah, that's a great idea.
That's what I do. Right? Take two mediums and then put them together, like a run panel. Because also it means that people that want to listen to you have to also, like, it's a great way to qualify who you actually, anyway.
That's
I'm not
awesome.
part
Hell
of
yeah.
247's team, but that is something that I would be looking at. Because what you want to basically is reverse engineer what would make someone talk about this to their friends. What's that word of mouth play, right? You know, like, for example, I remember I was at this event. I'll just name drop it, fuck it. Like, I was at an Aston Martin, like, launch event for one of their cars, right? And they had this really fancy, like, Michelin star restaurant guy come in and cook this amazing Wagyu steak, right? And what they did is to reveal the steak, they opened the car boot to reveal like smoke and mist, and then it reveals this really amazing, like, little pods of this Wagyu steak, right? And guess what everyone did, Carson? They got their phones out and started filming it. And I was like, first of all, that's a sad reality of what the world is because everyone just wants to film things, but okay, it doesn't matter. We can't change that. It's become a part of human behavior. But that to me was the perfect KPI to have in an event.
I would
Filming.
I want to start because I want to stop you too because I don't think it's a new behavior. I think it is a what's the right word for this? Um Hold on, it's gonna come to me.
Evolutionary
It's
evolution.
not even evolutionary. I'm talking about the aspect of shareability here. Humans want to share things. So it's a
What status and ego?
redefined, I guess would be the best way to say it, redefined behavior. Because now we don't share just through word of mouth, we share on social media. We don't say, "Hey, look, go buy this or go do this or, you know, look at like all this other stuff." We're sharing it to show people like how great this is and then other people get to go and see. It's the new word of mouth, right?
Yeah,
Sharing through social media. And
precisely.
that's what, like that's why I think shares are very important as a metric on organic, but topic for a different day.
But then also, isn't that not like, think to yourself, what am meta optimizing for? Shares and
Shares.
bookmarks. Okay, cool. What's that look like in real life?
Yeah. And yeah, I think that's a great point. But priming things for shareability and relatability are two of the biggest things that I would do in advertising, in organic, in real life, like all of it. Right. So, but basically to kind of see, just give everybody my take on, and Luke, I would like to hear your take on this. My take on where everything is heading is it's not digital versus physical. It's not paid versus organic. It's not brand versus performance. It's literally how can you make all of these things work together to maximize your brand, your performance, your distribution, and really create loyal customers as best you can, right? Like, where is it that you're going to be able to drive community and make people feel like they're understood and a part of your tribe? I think it's all of it together, not just one. Because if you're over indexed on one, you're missing out heavily on another. If you're over indexed on in person and community, you're going to be missing out on online direct sales. If you're over indexed on online and direct sales, you're missing out on actually creating loyal and community driven customers. So
So
where do you think everything's heading?
so this is the loop, right? This is my mental loop I have right now, right? So you go billboard to community, right? Community then goes to event. The event then goes to organic content. The organic content then goes to paid. Paid then gets you the customer. Customer goes to community, and then you're back to billboard again. Like, that's the loop I have in my mind right now. And what I mean by billboard to community is basically saying, okay, well, from all the in real life data we have, we know exactly why they're coming to our events. What can we put on the billboard to resonate with that particular audience? I think that's the flywheel that I'm very bullish on. I think, again, if I was a brand starting tomorrow, I would be focusing again solely on organic because let's be brutally honest, right? To start an event day one as a brand and no one knows you, it's going to be very difficult. But there's no harm in building that organic presence where you can have the permission. Again, look at where your viewers are coming from. If they're all based in London and you're a London brand, then yeah, you could run an event. I had a friend of mine back in the day who was an up and coming artist on Spotify. And he was talking about he was showing me, so he had like over 200,000 monthly listeners, and he was showing me the data behind it. Honestly, Spotify data, fascinating, deeply fascinating. Ah, he showed me, what he showed me was interesting was where the listeners came from. And I asked them, how many listeners do you need per location to then put a concert on to justify then having a show where you could sell tickets? And he said, well, you're basically looking to have around 10,000, like between 5 to 10,000 people in that particular demographic to then actually put on the show. Like, depends on the size of location of the show, but that was like his ballpark figure in his head. So I was like, oh, that's super interesting.
I like that.
So like, yeah,
It is very interesting.
it is, isn't it? Like, you think to yourself, like, because again, if you and I started a brand tomorrow, Carson, and we put on an event, no one would show up. Maybe our friends would, but like, well, it depends. Like, we're actually quite good at organics, so we may be able to pull off an absolute blinder, but it'd be fucking difficult. But like,
It would
if
be
you're
different.
but if you're a large brand, why aren't you running multiple small events like
Yeah.
constantly and
Yeah.
having that data pipeline into your thing and having that go into an LLM?
Or even have like recurring weekly events in certain locations. Like if you were Coca-Cola, do something in Atlanta
Oh, yeah,
every week. Like put on the same event every week and get people out there.
yeah, yeah. But like,
Eventually they're gonna start to bring their friends if they enjoy it. They're gonna start to spread the word, they'll follow it on social, all this other stuff, partner with local brands, all this. Just do something like weekly and make it like part of people's routine.
and that's the important thing. Make sure it's a part of their routine where the behavior makes sense. So the reason why fitness brands love run clubs is because guess what? They looked at their data and went, oh, all our customers like running. Oh, let's do a run club. Like,
Well, and it's like they're gonna run that day anyway. Why not give them a little bit of a treat to run with people on a Saturday morning?
precisely,
It's fun,
precisely.
right?
And if you're a
So
yeah, agreed.
I've got some rapid fire questions for us.
Go.
So the first one is, what's the most underrated ad channel right now that no one is talking about?
Live
Or do
shopping.
you live shopping? I'd agree. I know
What
Gary Vee talks about that a lot, but like I agree, live is very underrated right now. You know, it's blowing up in China. And I think it's like a lot of people in the States are trying to like get into it, but I think there's a barrier, and I haven't done my due diligence of trying to look for it. And I'm not somebody who I see as a live shopping guy. Nonetheless, I think it's still a big channel to look into.
fully agree.
What brands are doing experiential marketing better than anyone else right now, and what can other brands learn from that? Because I've
Bloom,
got
Bloom, Bloom's doing a great job. Groons is doing a really great job.
Bruins, really.
Well, I think what I'm seeing on their stuff is they're doing a lot of like activations around their new deal with Walmart, I believe that's the company. So I think they're doing a lot of like in-brand, like in-store experiential. Carson, oh, you've disappeared on my. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so I would say Groons, Bloom, uh, UK brands. I mean, 247, right?
Yeah,
Represent.
247 is one of mine. Cadence, they're doing a great job.
They're doing a really good job. Yeah, the Cane's doing a really good
I
job.
think a lot of brands that are in health and wellness do a really good job of it. That seems to be a pattern I notice, and a lot of what brands can take from that is fit your product into experience an event that fits into people's lives so easily that they can't say no, right? Like a lot of these health and wellness brands are either putting on classes or they're doing run clubs or they're doing
If you, for example, right, like if you're like beverage is a really easy one from my opinion because basically it's like let's just scope it. Where in the universe would someone drink a drink? Running, concerts, etc., right?
Yep,
You know, and I think that's the way to look at it. It's like just literally
I
map
agree.
out where do they use product and then maybe come up with events. Like for example, I don't know if you're selling a again, we'll just make it nice and simple. If you're selling, I don't know, electrolyte drink, where else may they get dehydrated? Probably at a concert.
Yeah.
They enjoy
Yep.
that, you know?
Take them on a run, take them on a run, give them a little live music, and give them your product after, right? So now I've got this is one of my favorites too. How would you convince a brand that's addicted to ROAS to invest in something that's harder to measure like community, experiential, or out of home?
I would say in real life events, get metrics out of your mouth. Just don't try and optimize for certain metrics. I think the one that I would optimize maybe for would be like, you know, it may be again a non-scalable one, but I'd be looking at okay, how many people like stayed longer past the time the event ended, which is a stupid one. That's what I'd optimize for. Like how many of them are like I think that may be a bit of a weird one, but that's what I look for. Like, okay, cool. We've said the event finishes at 7, but they've loved it so much they're staying until 9. Right? They're not bursting to leave. You know, like that's what I'd look at.
I would also say you get to talk to your customer face to face and ask them the questions you always want to ask
It's like,
and then get an honest answer. I think that's a great way to tell brands to do it.
but like,
Last one from
yeah,
me.
yeah.
If you had to put all of your budget into one non-digital channel right now, what would you choose and why?
Oh, that's a really good question. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to like umming and ahhing?
Yeah, you go first. You go first.
I think this question you have to ask like depends on the brand size, how much your budget is. But like I'm thinking for like a startup, I would put oh, it's a really good one because like it's definitely like to me it wouldn't be a billboard. It would be like that's what I do. I would like I put that's what I do. I'd build like a like the Michelin like the story about Michelin the tires whatever. Like I'd build a competition. So I'd build like a competitive event with my product being the sponsor of it.
Interesting.
So if I was like, I would do like, for example, if I was Cadence, I would do like the Cadence 420. I don't know, like anyone that can hit like who can get the closest to a 420 kilometer. I don't know, like, or who can have the far, I don't know, like have a competition where if anyone that can get below, I don't know, this particular speed of a kilometer, whatever, I don't know what okay, let's do it 5K times. Like anyone that can get below this 5K time gets unlimited cadence for a year and have a competition.
Interesting. Okay.
But I would do competitive like events.
Competitive strategy events. I like that. That's a good
That's
one.
what I do. That's what I put my money in. So it'd be events, but like very competitive. Because what I like about competitive events is that you can just like you can just clip the shit out of it. Anyway, what about you?
Yeah. I would put all of mine into weekly recurring experiential. So, if just for the sake, if you were a running brand, put it into a weekly run club and just go all in on like getting there. Cause then you can get people to bring other people and be like, if you bring a new person next week, we'll give you a free case of our product or a free piece of our product or whatever. Like gift them something. And it gets new people in the door to be able to come out and you just grow and grow and grow online and in person. And it's a network effect.
Yeah. I
That's what I
don't
would
know.
put it towards.
Maybe like I like the Pepsi one where they like if you buy our drink, we'll buy you a plane or something or the gym.
Yeah.
Like I would do something just fuck off outrageous. I think that's why I put my money
Yeah.
in. Well, like
Exactly. That's where it comes into getting creative.
yeah, it's like you see the guy that's going viral right now is like, here's my head. You can pay for ad spots on my head.
Yeah.
Like honestly,
And the
just
dude doing it on his toilet. It's crazy.
that guy's just cooked. That guy's cooked.
I'm a
Okay,
little pissed at Dude Wipes
why? Then get back to you.
because I hit them up because they paid for a spot on that guy's toilet. And I hit them up and I was like, we should do an out of home campaign together. And I sent them like all the ads I've made. I've just been left on red. I'm like, God, like, can you guys answer me? We could do a banger.
I think
Like, you're gonna pay $7.5 grand to put your ad on a 30-second social spot, and you won't put the same amount into an actually great campaign. What the hell?
Where's the head?
Chicago.
I was gonna say fly out, but that would be probably not the most. Yeah. No, it's yeah. Don't worry, mate. You got them. Just again, more outrageous ads.
Yeah, true.
And maybe you have to go shit yourself in public
Maybe. Maybe.
and say, they want to shake myself in public until dude wipes send me my wipes. I
Oh,
am unshameful in these things.
I gotta get a hold of them. We gotta do something together. Anyway, that's all I've got for this episode. This has
Me
been
too.
a good one in my eyes. I
Right.
thought this was a fun and unique one and very different from our typical conversation. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Comment, like, subscribe, send this to somebody as always if you think they'll enjoy it. And yeah, we appreciate all the support.
Yeah, and same from me. So as I would say, peace and see you next week. Hold on. Great job. Man, that was a good one.